We live in a digital world, right? So it's super easy to just forget about paper. But in places like hospitals, government offices, a whole different system is humming along in the background, the physical archive. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the art of physical filing. You'll see how some really simple tools can create perfect order out of total chaos.
Okay, let me ask you a question, and be honest. Right now, do you know exactly where your most important document is? Like your birth certificate, or maybe the deed to your house. For a lot of us, finding it would be, well, a bit of a frantic search, right? Now, just imagine that same panic, but in a hospital. A missing document there? That's not just an inconvenience. It could literally be a matter of life and health.
And this is no exaggeration. A recent study put it bluntly, saying that bad storage is, and I'm quoting here, very dangerous for patient information because it can experience unintentional damage. So, yeah, in a hospital, a misplaced or damaged file, it's not a small oopsie. We're talking about a huge risk to patient safety, not to mention a massive legal headache.
So where do we even begin to tackle this? Well, let's start with the absolute basics. The first, most fundamental building block of any filing system. It's something we've all used, but maybe we don't give it enough credit. I'm talking about the humble folder.
You see, a folder isn't just a paper wrapper. Think of it as a document's first line of defense. It's bodyguard. It pulls together all the related info, everything about one patient or one project, and it shields it from all the bad stuff. Tears, coffee spills, and just the general wear and tear of being passed around.
And get this kind of protection isn't just a nice idea. In a lot of places, it's the law. For example, under Indonesian health regulations, the head of a hospital is personally on the hook if a medical record gets lost or damaged. All of a sudden, that simple little folder carries a whole lot more weight, doesn't it?
And this is where things get really interesting. This case study from a hospital shows a massive disconnect. Look at the left side. That's the ideal situation. Inpatient records, all tucked away safely in folders, inside secure cabinets. But then you look at the right, the reality for outpatient records. Total chaos. No protective folders, leaving them wide open to getting lost or damaged. That's a huge glaring hole in their system. Okay, so a folder protects a single document, or a small set of them. That's great. But what happens when you have thousands of folders? How do you organize that? Well, that brings us to the next essential tool in our kit, the guide.
And I love this analogy. If a folder is a document's bodyguard, then guides are the big, bright road signs for the entire archive. You know those thick, sturdy dividers? They're basically yelling, hey, the section you want starts right here. They create a visual map that turns a massive, confusing sea of folders into something you can actually navigate.
And this table shows you just how brilliant this system is. It's not just a bunch of random dividers. Nope, it's a super logical 3-level hierarchy. So you start with the primary guide. That's the white one with the tab on the left for a big topic like personnel. Then you find the secondary guide, green tab in the middle, which narrows it down to, say, transfers. And finally, the tertiary guide, red tab on the right, pinpoints the exact subtopic you need, annual leave. It's a simple, color-coded visual path. So clever.
And here's the key to making it all work. The sequence is everything. It's so simple, but so effective. You just follow the trail of tabs, white, green, then red. And boom, tucked right behind that final red guide is the exact folder you're looking for. No hunting, no guessing, it's just there.
All right, so let's recap. We've got our documents protected inside folders. We've got our sections all neatly organized with guides. So where does all this stuff live? We need a home for the archive, right?
And that, of course, is where filing cabinets and racks come into play. And they have two main jobs. Job number one, keep everything safe. Protect the whole collection from stuff like dust, water, you name it. And job number two, make sure that beautiful system we just designed is actually easy to get to and use.
But here we go again. The case study found that same critical inconsistency. Check it out. On the left, the inpatient records are stored in these secure, modern, high-density cabinets. Awesome. But then look at the outpatient records on the right, just sitting out on open racks, exposed, way less secure. And this flies directly in the face of the hospital's own rules.
And this isn't just our opinion. This is a direct quote from their own rulebook, their standard operating procedure. It says, crystal clear, that active medical records must be stored in these secure cabinets specifically, and here's the quote, to avoid the danger of damage. So the policy? It was perfect. The actual practice? Not so much.
So, okay, we've seen all the pieces of the puzzle, the folders, the guides, the cabinets. Let's put it all together now.
How is this system supposed to work, and what goes wrong when it meets the real world? In a perfect world, when everything's working right, it's this beautiful, simple four-step dance. Step 1, you protect the document in its folder. Step 2, you navigate to the right spot using the guides. Step 3, you file it right where it belongs. And Step 4, you secure it back in the cabinet. It's logical, it's efficient, it's pretty much foolproof.
But we all know reality is messy, right? The study found a bunch of things that throw a wrench in the works. Not having enough staff, for one. Simple human error, like misfiling a record on its way back. The big inconsistencies we already talked about. And even digital problems, like the network going down, which just shoves more pressure back onto the physical system. It just goes to show how a perfect system on paper can get totally derailed by real-world friction.
And the stakes here are really, really high. This isn't just about keeping things tidy for a week or two. In this specific case, the law requires these active medical records to be kept for a minimum of 5 years. Just think about that. That's 5 straight years of needing to be able to find any patient's file at any given moment without a single mistake.
So you might be wondering, what's the fix? How do you solve a problem where the system is good, but the execution is flawed? Well, it turns out it's not about buying more expensive stuff. It all comes down to 3 core principles.
Okay, here they are. First up, standardization. That just means everyone uses the exact same system. Same guides, same codes, everything. Second, consistency. You have to apply that standard system everywhere, to every department with absolutely no exceptions. And third, maintenance. You've got to train your staff, inspect the materials, and actively keep the system healthy. Because at the end of the day, the tools can't run themselves.
And that brings us right back to where we started. This idea of responsibility. Because as the law makes crystal clear, the buck stops at the top. Having a well-run filing system isn't just about being neat and tidy. It's about upholding a serious legal and ethical duty to protect people's most sensitive information.
So that leaves us with one last really big question. We've just spent all this time talking about paper and cardboard. In our super digital world, is any of this even relevant anymore? And the answer is 100% yes. Because think about it. The principles we just talked about, standardization, consistency, maintenance, they're not really about paper, are they? They're about how you manage information. And that is a challenge that's more critical right now than it has ever been.